closest you can.
Fine.
So
Alright.
the only thing we have
Alright.
I'm pretty sure 15 and 14 are really small.
Oh my gosh.
They're like a year apart.
More actually, remember
They
they
have to find another one.
You're gonna get a
Trend if you're going
I'm going to get started, everybody. What I think we're going to end up doing here is hoping somebody can hook up this system, which is more sophisticated. So that's why it's better. So that's why it's not right? Did you find anybody? No?
No, they don't know, but like maybe he will, this guy maybe he will help us, and I can also try, I might have, in my phone maybe I have.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I have two presentations to do. The first one talks about the course. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the course for a little while, and then hopefully by the time I'm ready to actually do the presentation on leadership, we'll be connected. And if not, we'll all squint and look at my little screen, okay? Right? So, so I want to talk just about how this course is going to operate for a few minutes and explain to you some of this I said already, which is this is a Masters of Public Health program in Global Health Leadership. And so our goal is to help you advance your personal leadership skills. And as I said, I'm just going to say it again, it's easy to say we're going to help you develop leadership skills. The challenge is to actually figure out how to help you. Okay? It's easy to say it, but how do you create a curriculum in leadership? And this is something I've been working on for a number of years, and I've run other leadership programs. So over the years, I've come up with these kinds of ideas. You will see me in March for the course in leadership. And I'm here for, the course will be over 3 weeks, and in March, and it won't start until a week or two have passed in the beginning of the semester. I think I come in after a week. And then you'll be very busy for the 3 weeks with me because you're going to be taking other courses. So I'm going to fill, for the people who are working, it's going to be pretty challenging, okay? Because I'm going to fill the days the days up that you otherwise are working for those 3 weeks. So you'll have to figure out how to deal with that.
That's in March?
Yes, in March. Okay? And the dates are set, but I don't know for the moment what they are. It's like this beginning of the second week of the semester. And that's a course. You'll get a grade. We'll talk about that when the time comes. I can talk to you about it anytime you want. But that's a formal course in leadership. This seminar series is designed to complement or help you develop as well. And we felt that it would be helpful for you to meet with leaders. Almost all of them are leaders in healthcare, and they will, or some university leaders, okay? So the former provost of the university in Israel are called rectors. Okay, in Canada, what are they called? The head of the Chancellor could be. Okay, so Professor David Faraji will come and talk to you about some issue in leadership. He's a biostatistician, so I don't know what he'll talk about. Probably university issues. So you're going to have approximately 15 people meeting with you over 20 sessions. Because I meet with you twice, the first and the last class, okay? You're going to meet with my wife next Sunday, because she's leaving on Monday, and I'll be recording it for the 3 people who can't be here. And that introduces the issue that sometimes the class is going to be held on alternate days, okay? Because this is a special favor each of these people is doing to do a seminar with you. And as you will discover, a number of them are going to come from other countries, primarily the U.S. So they're not going to be here. They're going to come by either video conferencing or Skype. And it has to match their schedule. So if they can't do a Monday and they can do a Tuesday or a Thursday or whatever it is, then we'll tell you in advance, and, you'll have to match the time, okay?
Sorry, okay, they're coming, so I'm just gonna wait for them
Perfect.
outside so they can see.
Good, good. We don't need it for this stuff yet. Okay. So, what's gonna happen is, therefore, that we will do approximately 2 sessions a month, but they're not necessarily going to be every other week. You may have, just like this month, for the month of November, this week and next week, and then no more sessions until December. And then December you'll have 2. It's possible some months you'll have 1, and 1 month you'll have 3. Okay? So just be flexible about that. The times, we're trying to keep the times 4:15 to 5:45. That could change too. So just realize that this is a very flexible schedule. What we're asking the leaders to do is come and tell you about something about themselves, and to hopefully present a case of a story of theirs, a problem that they had. Okay, and some of them are comfortable. We did this last year. This is the man. Hello.
מה חברתם את זה? נגיד שיהיה חשבון בחיבורים. לא, תחייב בינתיים לחבור שמשתגל
Can I try to keep going?
Yes.
So, what we've asked each of the speakers to do is to come and talk to you about a case or a problem that they faced. Some of them will be comfortable doing this and some of them won't, based on our previous experience. Some of them will talk about a project that they've done. Some of them will talk to you about their careers. One of our speakers will be Sonia Rasmussen, who's actually going to speak with us twice. She'll be in the spring. She is very senior leadership at the US CDC. She reports to the director, Tom Frieden, and she's going to talk about some work she's done in one case and in the other about her career. Okay? So you're going to hear different people tell different stories. Some of them will really fit with what we want, and others will be a little less clear. So you have to be kind of tolerant of that. Right? But what we're hoping is that they will take you through some real life stories or experiences that they've had that will show you about leadership. And we've asked them, if they would, to pick failed stories that are much easier to follow than successes. Successes are fun to talk about. Failure is much more challenging, but you can learn a lot more from failure. Okay? So that's kind of that. Let me just see what else I wanted to say to everybody.
אולי ניקח פשוט מחשב ממישהו אחר, נשים את HDMI לא, זה לא קשור.
הבעיה זה המחשב?
ניקח, נגיד, זה יש HDMI, במה שיש HDMI ונחבר את זה. זה אני לא התעסקתי את הווידאו, מקרנים, אצלנו אין.
Yeah, do you want to try maybe a different
Sure.
computer because they're saying maybe something's wrong with the connection?
We could try. I think I have it on one of these.
Pardon on the move, on media and on the both down. This is a computer.
No, but that one has an HDMI, so let's see if we can get it to work.
Yay!
פשוט תעביר דיסק און קי.
Okay,
So just,
okay, so that, thank you.
תודה
אני
רבה.
לא יודע, הם עשו פה בלאגן, זה לא בגלל
See what
שלהם.
happens.
כן, תודה.
Beautiful notes.
Yeah, okay, well, that's a start. Now, let's see what I have here.
Like how we all have the same tabs open.
Yeah.
We totally do. No, really, look at this. No, that's fine.
The easiest thing to do is
I've actually spent a lot of time trying to find this idea of a specific year. Yeah. They have an average at birth, but I can't find it.
It'll be another minute or two here, everybody.
Oh, that's something. And you found it from what age?
Birth and then at 60.
The birthday compound.
Are you doing the comparing?
Let me try and back up. I can't remember.
Are we each doing our own?
You can do your own and then 3 other countries.
But like so many of us are from the same country.
This is a great presentation. You're
This will be
gonna
a
love it,
fun
so it's worth it.
The comparison countries will be different.
Yeah.
And we get to see what numbers.
True.
And
we get to embarrass each other.
That'd be great.
Where'd you get your We found it.
That's what
Just to be clear.
The black market is online. It's not everyone like it.
Yes, no, but we found it. We found the website. We found the portal. I'll show you. Because like nobody likes it every day. I told you.
That's just on my phone. It looks like some like Illuminati. Like,
This is
where
why
I
I
take over the
said
world.
you guys are crazy. I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly. No, we
She didn't understand that.
And
now you
understand.
I told you, why weren't you?
Oh my god.
Sorry, I'm still saying this.
נראה לי הכי, לפי דעתי הכי נוח זה יהיה במודל. כי אז זה עובד נורא
We try really hard to like.
that's why I'm just like, נראה לי מודל זה הכי כאילו, כן.
Whatever works for you. Oh, that is very nice.
This is the easy one, right? Okay.
Are you doing this
Huh?
presentation? Are we getting this presentation too?
Yes, of course. Yes, okay. So, all right, so here are the learning objectives, right? And I'm going to read them quickly to you because we've spent so much time already. Students will have an improved understanding of the principles of leadership. You will analyze the complexities of working within organizations. You can't be a leader without an organization, right? It's very hard to be, you're on a horse, you're the general, and if you don't have any troops, you're not out of the way. Okay? Students will understand how healthcare organizations interface with other healthcare organizations, governments, and funding organizations. So this, you're going to hear from the real world, right? From these various people. So much of leadership is about conflict management. And as I say, some of the people who speak to you will be open about this and some will not be, okay? But we hope that some of them will talk to you about conflict management. Students will analyze leadership situations and be prepared to recommend solutions to challenges faced by leaders. So what we've asked people to do is to present you with a case, talk about it, and stop, and then ask you what you would do. And then tell you what happened and on and on. Some of them will do this, some of them won't, right? And again, this is a very informal process. We don't control it like we do a regular class. So we'll see, okay? Most of these people have done this once with us already. Okay, so I've said 20 sessions over the year, approximately every 2 weeks. It's about 90 minutes. Some of them will be in person, some will be live, okay, by video. We want this to be interactive, as I've said, right? Some will be case-based, and on some circumstances, we're going to video record this. When we don't have the class on the usual day, the students who live in Tel Aviv can't come in just for this class. So we're going to record it for them. I'm making it clear because we expect everyone to be here. We don't want everyone telling us, oh, I can't make it either, I've got something else going on. You need to be here, please. Okay? If nothing else, at least the transitions from slides is a good thing, right? Okay, after each seminar session, the student will briefly describe the leadership situation and the challenges the leader faced. They will propose one or two alternative solutions to the situation. These written observations will be limited to 3 or 4 paragraphs and are not to exceed a single page. They're to be submitted to the program staff, that's NETA, okay, within 48 hours of the seminar. Okay. Now this is all written down on the syllabus, and we'll send you the syllabus. Okay? So you'll have this. I just copied and pasted it. Okay? So, a couple paragraphs. What did you see? Okay, what did you learn out of this? Then, at the end of the course, which will be at the end of the year, you submit a 2-page summary of the greatest challenges, successes, and failures of leadership that you've seen during this course. Okay? So, think about what you have been learning. Alright? What you've seen. And then at the end, just 2 pages. And it's pass-fail. So, I mean, how can we grade you on this? It's just the experience. And the reason that we've had these 2 assignments is hopefully to help you focus on what you're learning out of this. That's the idea. I mean, that's what learning is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be testing for testing sake. It's to assess what you've learned. And this, we hope, will be a way for you to show you've learned something. No assignment for today's class, right? Because this is an introduction to leadership. We wouldn't quite, I could have you do it, but you'll see. It's a little different today. Okay? And I think that's all for this. Yeah. Okay? So before we go on to the real introduction to leadership, any questions about the mechanics of the course? Anything from anybody? Okay. Netta is your number 1 contact person for this, and she'll be the continuity, okay? She'll be here for, I think, all the sessions, or at least until the end of the first semester, right? And Dr. Green and I, Professor Green and I share this, so sometimes he's arranging the speaker, sometimes I am. You may or may not see us, okay? But if you need something, or if there's some confusion, either check in with Netta or check in with us. Either me or with Professor Green. Okay? Okay. Good. Now, let's move on to here we go. This is complicated.
Maybe we should try hitting enter.
Yeah, press enter. Okay.
Troubleshoot.
Good. All right. So here we go. Okay. What is a leader? What is a leader? Diego, what's a leader?
It's a person that you trust, and that person has the capacity to guide others and to preach something good for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, more or less.
All right. Good. It's Rachel, yes? Rachel, what's a leader?
A leader is someone who has a vision who inspires others and instills the trust that others will be trusting in him to follow their guidance.
Okay. Who else wants to volunteer something? Claudia, what's a leader?
That's a good question. Somebody that has maybe some type of wisdom, others would like to follow him. Knowledgeable person, has a lot of knowledge, that has more experience maybe, that can share with others his experience, can solve problems, has a team leader skills, but also can work as a team and as part of the team also, and not only as someone on top.
Great, good. So we've seen 3 answers. They overlap, but each one is also different, right? I mean, it's interesting. We could spend just our whole session just trying to answer this question. And ultimately, it's up to you to decide what a leader is, but also it's whatever organization you're involved with decides what a leader is, because you get hired as a leader by other people, right? So it's an interesting question, though, when you think about it. I mean, as I've said, we've developed this curriculum in leadership, and the question is, what is a leader, and how do you make someone a leader? Okay, so we're going to start by looking at what I consider a model of bad leadership. Now, I have all these video clips we're going to look at. I hope it works with your computer. So we'll see what happens, okay? So this is John Wayne. How many people have not heard of John Wayne? Not heard of him? Okay. Someone who knows John Wayne, please describe what he was.
I wish my dad was here. He loves John Wayne. He's an actor who performs in Western movies. Is the best way
Yeah.
I can.
Cowboy.
He's a manly man.
Yeah, very much a manly man.
Yes.
And this is a clip, I hope we'll see it, from a movie called The Longest Day. He's actually not a cowboy, he's a soldier in this one.
Okay.
This is World War II. They're the U.S. and the Allies are about to invade France to begin the Normandy fighting. And a subordinate of his, of John Wayne's, one of his assistants, lieutenant, has an idea that he's proposing to John Wayne. So let's look at this. This will be about a minute and a half, if it works. And still mine. Let's see. Doesn't look too promising.
It's a YouTube clip?
No. More complicated than that. So we're going to try something a little different. This is going to go a little more slowly as it comes in.
Wait. Go back. I think no.
Okay, so wait, right. Maybe we'll do that. So this is, let's go down here.
I've notified the adjutant. Change in schedule. After briefing session today, all troops will participate in ground tactics and deployment. In this weather, sir? Well, of course, Harding, if you can ensure that we'll land in France in sunshine and dry weather. I didn't mean that, sir. What did you mean? I mean it isn't the weather, sir. It's the waiting. These men are itching to go. I don't think I have to remind you that this war has been going on for almost 5 years. Over half of Europe has been overrun and occupied. We're comparative newcomers. England's gone through a blitz with a knife at her throat since 1940. I'm quite sure that they too are impatient and itching to go. Do I make myself clear?
Okay, so I'm contending that this is an example of a bad leader. I showed this a couple summers ago to a student who is now a medical student here in Svat. He was in Croatia at the time, but he's Israeli, and he had been in the Israeli Navy. And he said, this is fine. So everything is relative. I'm contending that there are some things that are not good in leadership here. So what did you see that you didn't like?
He didn't consider others' idea.
Right. The other guy has, and how does he treat the other guy?
He's condescending.
He's condescending,
Yeah.
right? Not only, he hollers at him, right?
His tone.
Right? At the very end, he says, have I made myself perfectly clear? Now, if you're his subordinate, what's going to happen the next time you have an idea?
You're not
You
going
won't
to
say
say
anything.
anything.
Not a word, right? You're going to be quiet, because what he is saying is, I don't want to hear anything, I don't want any ideas, and I'm the boss, and you're nothing. To me, it's an example of a really bad leader. This is one of the things with John Wayne, if your father's a big fan. People say that this is what he was. He just was himself with all this. This is the kind of guy he was. Okay? I don't know if this is really true. He's representing a particular historical figure. I don't know if that's true or not. Okay, but as a model of leadership, a bad model. Okay, everybody follow what I'm trying to say? All right. Now let's go on, and let's try this. So who's this? Well, you can see who it is, right? Martin Luther King. Does everyone know who he was? Everyone know who he was? Civil rights leader in the United States in the 1960s, assassinated. Okay, he was a disciple of what great leader of nonviolence from India? Gandhi, right? In the United States, there was tremendous fear of a revolution, that the black population would revolt and that there would be a civil war for them to get their rights. And he led an effort for peaceful change and for civil rights to come to the United States for black people. And so this is his most famous speech.
I have a dream.
Yep. And let's see if we can hear it.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the word of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
So, what do you see here that makes him a good leader?
I think even though he's giving a speech, it still almost is like a dialogue. Like he always pauses to let people applaud and like let his words sink in to make sure everyone hears it.
Okay, so Davey's making a very important point, and that is, to be a good leader, you have to be an effective communicator. You can have wonderful ideas. It's like the guy in the horse with no army. You can have wonderful ideas. If you can't communicate those ideas to other people, then you're not going to get very far. So we're going to see a few speeches here just as examples. And to be a good leader, you don't necessarily have to be a good speech maker, but if you aren't, someone else has to help you communicate. I'm not a big expert on the Bible, but what was the relationship between Moses and Aaron?
But I and Aaron, I mean, I'm also not, but I know this, that I don't know if Moses even had a speech issue.
He's
But
tired.
yeah, he said it. So Aaron was the one who could talk very well. So he actually made the communication for.
Right. So there are many leaders who aren't good speakers. They aren't necessarily biblical, okay? But they're just not good at speaking, and they find someone else to speak for them or communicate for them or some other mechanism, because to lead requires that you communicate effectively. And as Davey identified, Martin Luther King was a wonderful speaker. He had his weaknesses, and when I'm back in March, we'll talk about him again, because he had his problems as a leader as well, as all leaders do, have their strengths and weaknesses. Okay, but he was a wonderful speaker, so he knew how to speak. He knew how to pause and to engage people. Okay, the title of the speech is what? I have a dream. How many times did you hear him say, "I have a dream"?
Yeah, he
4
repeats it
times?
all the
5
time.
times?
Yeah.
Until not only did he have a dream, but you had a dream. Okay? And the cadence of his voice, the nature of his voice, and the words of his speech are inspiring.
Yeah, the content in general, especially compared to the other clip, but the content is positive, inspiring, and it speaks to what people want to hear.
And this occurred in the 1960s. It was called the March on Washington. There were, I can't remember, hundreds of thousands of people in what is called the Mall in Washington. This is a man who spoke to hundreds of thousands of people live. And he, many years ago, changed the way America operated. And that was the high point of his career. I have a dream. And he got everyone to have that dream with him. Pretty impressive. Okay, we're going to look at this guy. Who's FDR? President?
Former president.
Former president of the United States.
He lasted the longest as president.
He lasted into a third term,
Mm-hmm.
right, before they changed the law and said you can't run for a third term in the United States. The course in leadership is not about leadership in the United States. I'm trying to get examples from a variety of places, but these last two are obviously Americans. So this is Franklin D. Roosevelt, president during the two most stressful times in the United States history: the Depression and World War I. Two, right, okay? And this is just a very short clip of a speech that he gave, a very famous speech, and it's about the Depression, actually. So let's see if we can get this one here. We can't. Here. We're going to do this. 1 second.
There's nothing on this.
Nothing there, right? That's not going to be very good either, right?
It's still old. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to read it to you, right? And let's analyze it written. It's not as good because it's interesting hearing his speech. Oops.
We could like look up an audio clip on like our phone and just play it. If you
Um,
know the name of it.
Yeah, I have it here. Now we don't have this though. So let's see what's going on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's go back to this. And I'm sorry about all the technical stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just read it to you from here. Look. You want to try to get it again? The audio? Oh. Yes. Okay. I am certain that my fellow Americans expect that my induction into the presidency, I will address them with a candor and a decision which the present situation of our people impel. This is preeminently the time to speak the truth, the whole truth, and frankly and boldly. We'll get back to that in a minute about speaking the truth. Nor need we shrink from honestly facing the conditions in our country today. This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive and will prosper. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. All we have to fear is fear itself. So what's going on here? Famous speech.
I think he has the ability to put hope. He's very like he in a hard time where it's depression and everything looks bad. I think if the leaders doesn't believe anymore that it's getting better, then everyone is lost. So the leader definitely needs to be able to believe that it's getting better, and he can make you believe that he really believes in it.
Mm-hmm. And he's taking something that is, the depression in the United States was, we just finished a recession around the world, and some of you have probably lived through that, and you've been around with your parents 7-8 years ago, not being able to do something that they wanted to do. They couldn't afford it. Maybe people lost jobs, or couldn't get a car, or lost a home, or whatever it is, okay? The depression was profoundly more serious than that, from what I understand. And so here you have a country, a world, because the depression was worldwide, filled with fear. And this man has a responsibility to try to give people hope. So he deals with fear, and it's like turning on the lights, When you're in the dark, you're always more afraid. All you have to do is turn the light on. So he has symbolically done that. All we have to fear is fear itself. Okay? Now, the other thing is, he says, this is preeminently the time to speak the truth, the whole truth, and frankly and boldly. What's he doing there?
It's time to just be open about everything that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not cover it up.
I think he's trying to build trust with his audience.
Right, okay? Because trust in leadership is really important. And we're going to talk about that in the course, the leadership course. If I'm the leader, and you have lost my trust, I will never regain your trust. Let me put it to you a little differently. If I lie to you once, you will never be able to trust me again. Right? Because if I've lied once, then the next time I'm telling you something, is it the truth or is it not the truth? You don't really know. Okay? So as difficult as it is to tell people the truth, and it is sometimes, okay? In clinical medicine, I've certainly faced that where you have bad news to deliver to someone, right? But you have to tell them, okay? Right? And if you're a leader, it's the same thing, okay? So being honest is really, really important in leadership. Okay, let's go on. Now this one we can certainly read if we, looks like we may have something here. Let's see if we can do it. Okay. Who's this? John F. Kennedy, another American president. He's talking about going to the moon. Let's see if we can hear it.
Why some say the moon? I choose this as our goal. And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal
will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. We shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat in stresses several times more than building experience, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communication, food, and survival, on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then returning safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that of the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first, before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
So, how is he a good leader? What are you seeing here that impresses you?
He was showing the people that he's willing to do things that are impossible or said to be impossible, but he's willing to get there. Do anything so that we all get there.
Mm-hmm.
He's also setting a common goal. I mean, not that it's the common goal of everyone to go to the moon, but it was, I think one of the components of what makes a group is having a common goal and something to work together toward, and he's setting that for the whole nation.
Yeah, I was alive I was born in 1950, so this was in the early 1960s. He was assassinated a couple of years later, and his successor, Lyndon Johnson, took over, and what happened? They landed a man on the moon in 1969, before the decade was out. What's the real story behind this? Why was this so important in the United States in the 1960s? What were they really doing? Competing with who? Russia. Sure. This was all geopolitical competition. Yes, it was promoting science, and yes, it was giving us a common goal, but it was a really terrific way to fight the Cold War. It was a positive way to do it. What impresses me, he's inspiring. He does talk about a common goal, and he says, this is impossible, we're going to do it anyway. Okay, which is terrific for a leader to do, to inspire people to achieve. He says, we're going to invent things that haven't even been invented yet. Pretty impressive. Okay.
Right, he provides a list, sort of each thing he's going to do.
Right.
And that's impossible.
And that's going to get translated into a budget eventually, right? So what he's doing, he's also obviously, not only is he a leader, he's a politician. And he needs the people to believe in this, and for them to then go and tell their elected officials that this is important. And he's listed all the things that eventually become a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, we need all these things, and then someday there's going to be voting in the U.S. Congress to support those things, which are going to cost a certain amount of money. Okay? All right. Let's see if we can hear Nelson Mandela. Who is he?
President of South Africa.
President of South Africa. And the story with Nelson Mandela is?
He was in prison.
He was in prison for how long? 29 years. Okay? Right? Amazing. I just can't imagine it. Okay? And so he's being interviewed by a woman named Oprah Winfrey, who the Americans know. Okay? And let's see if we can get this. Here, you do it.
One of the things that we see in the beginning of this tape, the beginning of the show, is that during this 27 years, I mean, babies are born, people come into the world who've never heard you, you became almost a man of mythical proportions. Do you find it difficult to live up to that myth? Or did you when you first came out of prison, because people looked at you as though you were not even real? There you were. Nobody even knew, because your photos were bad. Nobody even knew what to expect you would look like. And so, did you find that difficult to live up to whatever that was created?
Well, that is one of the things that worried me, to be raised to the position of a semi-god. Because then you are no longer a human being.
Right.
I wanted to be known as Mandela, a man with witnesses, some of which are fundamental. That worried me a great deal. Especially because I knew it was not the contribution of an individual which would bring about liberation and the peaceful transformation of the country. And my first task when I came out was to destroy that myth that I was something other than an ordinary human being. Whatever position I occupied, it was as a result of my colleagues and my comrades in the movement who had decided in their wisdom to use me for the purpose of focusing the attention of the country and the international community on me.
You say
not because I had any better virtues than themselves, but because this was their decision.
It's very humble.
Humble, amazing, right? Right, amazing. So he says he's humble, but yet, what does he allow to happen?
Other people to succeed in his, I guess, what he started, and he's letting them, get the credit, and he's like thankful that they carried on what he started and how he was able to help.
Right.
So he's able to bring other people up while also bringing himself up at a time.
So, and again, in the leadership course, we're going to talk about something called servant leadership. And it's a leadership style where you are serving those who you lead. And it's a little hard to kind of figure out, but there are many people in leadership roles who say, okay, what's good for me?